Hello, and thank you for joining this on-demand session. My name is Kevin Egan, and I am with Equinix. Who is Equinix? Equinix is a global data center and digital services and infrastructure provider. We have data centers around the world that are interconnected to each other, providing colocation space for our over 10,000 customers. And today we're going to talk about unifying that data and really doing AI at a global scale, what we call distributed AI, which is really necessary to collect your data from your cloud sources, from your private sources, from your edge sources, and really do that meaningful AI workload and use case. So, what are some of the shifts that are driving this distributed world? Um, Data continues to move towards the edge. Many of the studies that we see now say the great majority of data is going to be generated at the edge versus inside of the cloud or inside of on-prem data centers in the near future. And that's being driven by some technologies that are pretty prevalent, right? Real-time inferencing workloads, agentic AI, and the rise of new technologies like MCP are really kind of driving that, along with smaller language models and more domain-specific language models. This is really making it crucial not only to do those workloads where the data lives, and really having that access to your data, but also moving your data between your core, between your cloud, and between your edge. And look, privacy can't be compromised. Privacy continues to be paramount for everyone who is doing these new style of agentic and generative and inferencing workloads, model training, model tuning. And that isn't going away anytime soon, especially if you're in regulated industries, if you want that intellectual property protection, that model protection, if that's your IP, and of course, sovereignty, locality, and residency concerns and regulations. And so to do this really requires a flexible ecosystem, and a flexible ecosystem means access to your clouds, access to your network service providers, and access to this new class of AI service providers as well. So there's an infrastructure mismatch. When we look at the facilities, we have kind of a traditional workload driven by power and connectivity for those workloads, right? Virtualized workloads, hyper-converged workloads. And on the high side, these can be 5 to 10 kilowatts per rack generally, and they're bursty. They don't require that constant on-off that a GPU-driven workload, for example, might have. Standard in Ethernet, standard connectivity, and really public connectivity to your clouds has been okay to date. And that generates traffic at a latency that's what we call, human latency and human tolerances. Connection to partners, it's generally pick your partner. All of our customers are cloud partners, they're cloud customers as well. And this inflexibility kind of says, hey, pick your cloud and let's move data between those because our we're pretty constrained with not only our network but also our infrastructure as well. Predictability is low, and of course, security is pretty basic. So when we look at the AI world and the AI workloads, we're talking 40 to 80 kilowatts on GPU workloads that are really requiring very advanced air cooling and into liquid cooling, direct to chip. Hot out containment, rear door heat exchangers, etc. And some of the latest GPUs are easily 100 plus kilowatts per rack. And so with workloads also moving towards the edge, that high-speed interconnection with private fabric and latency that happens to be real time for those use cases is becoming critical. You've got to plan for this and you've got to design for this as well. And of course, your partnership really needs the flexibility to be able to choose the partners, choose the models, and even choose the clouds that provide you the greatest return for your use cases and for your applications. And this also has a governance aspect to it, a locality, a residency, a sovereignty aspect that has to be taken into consideration. And so it truly is a multi-cloud and hybrid world all over again, if you will. Equinix is the number one data center partner for Microsoft Express Route. What does that mean? That means at over 70 locations, we have access to 34 plus Azure direct Azure locations. And so when we say Microsoft Express Route, we are providing a very high-speed, direct private connection between those data centers and those co-location workloads and Microsoft's cloud. And doing this, we are, over 20% of our customers today are taking advantage of this. That's 2,000 plus customers are moving data between their core and between their Azure to provide that direct connection to their data centers. So what do we do? We're looking to shorten the path. Hybrid multi-cloud with Azure requires that secure, low latency, high-speed connection, that private connectivity to the clouds. This is a new way of doing it. It isn't either or. It isn't either your private data center or the cloud. We are the third option. When it comes to co-location, we can provide you access to all of the above. And this enterprise grade access gives you also the secondary benefit of having access to our ecosystem partners. That's network service provider partners, that's AI service provider partners and neoclouds, and of course, your cloud service providers. And this is all critical to doing global AI and cloud at scale as those workloads becoming more and more distributed and more horsepower is being required at the edge. So this is what we call the Equinix distributed AI architecture. How is Equinix enabling this? We are sitting on our layer 2, layer 3 software-defined fabric, what we call Equinix Fabric, represented here in the middle. And really, we're providing that direct connection not only between our data centers globally, so if customers have that golden triangle in, say, Germany and the United States, they've got Atlanta, Germany, Tokyo, for example, for their business model. We have connected all of those together. We're also connecting directly to, like I said, the service providers, the cloud service providers, and this new class of AI providers. And this is becoming critical as you plan for a distributed AI environment. And really the flexibility to move those and choose the models with the greatest as you set up your blueprints and you set up your new technologies, your agentic workloads, your generative workloads, and you take advantage of the cloud services and you take advantage of on-prem hardware for your regulated industries or your model protection. We're providing that privacy for all of it. So the interconnection evolution really starts fundamentally at the network. 35% of all direct cloud on-ramps come through Equinix. And what does that mean? That means 35% of the world's direct, not over the internet, but direct cloud on-ramps are running through secure co-location to cloud connectivity. And this is significant because, again, it's that new way of thinking. It's, hey, how do I architect for this new generation and really take advantage of high-speed direct private connections between my cloud and my data sets? The ecosystem, we talked about the partner ecosystem, but nobody does AI alone. You have to have you have to have dozens of partners in the mix in order to be successful, whether it's model training, model tuning, inferencing, all these new agentic applications, fraud detection, self-driving, all of the data collection that's happening. You've got to have partners and you got to have flexibility to connect to those partners. Governance is becoming critical. How do we run those reports? We need sustainability reports. We need connectivity. We need observability. And we need all of those things. And this is driving what we're calling fabric intelligence. That's providing that visibility, the observability, the networking and control and the view and the ease and the frictionless deployment of that layer 2, layer 3 software-defined fabric, that Equinix fabric that allows you to connect to your partner ecosystem. So connecting clouds everywhere, accelerating AI anywhere. We're providing that unmatched global interconnection for Microsoft Azure customers. And that express route is really the way that we're taking advantage of those things. So if you're doing that over the internet today, I would, really strongly suggest you take a look at this architecture and see the benefits you could gain and the way that you can accelerate those workloads and those applications. Really accelerating the frontier firm, driving the security, driving that cloud interconnection and marrying that with AI and providing that triangle of frontier firm tenants that really, are making you a successful Azure deployment. Hybrid multi-cloud innovation, that is the reality. All of our customers have data in the core, data in the cloud, data at the edge. This multi-cloud isn't just about choosing different clouds. It's about where your data is closest to making those AI workloads happen. And then, of course, having the security and the privacy, sovereignty and sovereign by design, and locality and residency. This is crucial for global companies looking to protect and looking to adhere to those regulations. So if you're at Ignite, please stop by. We've got booth 1234, pretty simple to remember, and hope to see you there. And if you're not, please check out our new solution guide, optimizing your Azure hybrid multi-cloud strategy, some 5 key considerations. Thank you for listening to this on-demand session and enjoy the rest of your show.